actually in the screen?
Yep, you're right in the bullseye middle. And it's recording. I don't like it.
Why?
Because you're not smiling or anything.
Well, I'm not ready to shoot yet. Hey there all, FG again, and coming to you with not a Nissan today, but a Toyota, and you know, one of those things that some people think is a little more necessary, some people find rather odious, to be honest, because you know, it's one of those things that doesn't feel like you did an upgrade, because I always kind of like, sort of feel like if I'm spending money, I'd kind of like to get something better than I had. But this is brake repair today, or brake replacement actually, and you'll see that the bulk of the video here in a few minutes. So actually I'm kind of filming this in backwards because this is actually already done, the new pads are in, but I just was going to point out this real quick. This is something to check on different vehicles depending on their construction. If you look up in here, this is the coil spring, obviously the strut, right, and you can see that what is supposed to be a boot is, yeah, completely disintegrated. So when doing brakes or any other routine type of maintenance around the front end area, it's always a good idea, you know, just to take a little look around. Here's the stabilizer bar link. You can see that coming down through here. And there's the half shaft, because this is a all-wheel drive RAV, so there's the driver, right? And back here is obviously the rack and pinion steering and the end link. So you can see the boot here looks like it's in good condition. There is some rust on the bolts here, you can see. So like I was saying, just you know, take a little time to poke around when you're in here. You might be doing one job, and the more you poke, the more, unfortunately, you may find out that you might have other jobs to do. But it's always a good idea, especially when it's something safety related, you know, to just take those few minutes and poke around and have a look and see if there's anything else developing that you may have been unaware of, like these. That is obviously not an easy fix because that boot is actually inside there, so the entire strut needs to be dismantled to replace it. So that's not going to happen today. That's probably going to happen when these struts require replacement. So unfortunately, I'll probably just run these until either the strut itself wears out or the top seal starts leaking because of dirt impingement damaging that seal. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So we'll proceed from there. What'll only be a few seconds in your time, but it's going to be 5 or 10 minutes in my time, and we'll cut over to the second half of the video. And just going to do a basic brake, well, not really even an upgrade, just a swap. The old pads were completely toast, so just going ahead and taking them out, putting in new ones. Catch you soon. This is the boss's RAV4, and yes, it's sneaking into the video stream again because the boss is also the director. So she gets to, you know, direct, and she directed me that the brakes were making some funny noises the other day, so it was time to take a look. And yeah, they're pretty bad. I already did the other side. I've found out that these things are a lot more fun when you're probably maybe in your 20s or early 30s than you are when you're in your mid 50s. So everybody who's picking us up with your RCA table radio on the RKO broadcast, welcome. You older guys will get that joke, maybe. Anyway, let me continue. So, brake jobs, there's tons of videos out there describing these. It's really not rocket science. You're probably not going to see anything amazing here that you haven't seen before. Just common sense. Make sure you got jack stands under the vehicle. I actually always put 2, and I leave the jack in place as well. Yeah, belt and suspenders, I know that might be considered by some people to be a little over the top, but you know, having a truck land on your leg and crush your foot is really 0 fun at all. Even if you survive the experience, the emergency room's not the place you want to be Saturday afternoon. So just, yeah, go with me. We'll work with it. So I already pulled the mounting bolts. I'm going to pull the caliper out, if it moves, from its housing. Yep, okay. We're going to extract the caliper from its housing. The other one actually was a little easier. I was able to pull that out by hand. All right. One thing to remember, that, like I said, this is not something new that nobody's ever said, but don't ever let this hang from the brake line. Guaranteed you will get a leak, because brake hoses are made to carry brake fluid, not the weight of a heavy caliper. So put your wire through it. This is an old coat hanger, as you can see, and it's a pretty stiff old coat hanger, so it is fighting me, which it did on the other side as well. But once you've got it in place, it will do the job. Oh my goodness. All right. And then wind that around the coil spring to keep it in place. And when you've got it sufficiently tightened, it'll keep it out of your way and hanging safely. And make sure you give it a couple of loops so that it doesn't pull free, because if it does, guaranteed the weight of that thing coming down, you're either going to tear your line or rip it right out of the caliper. Ask me how I know. Yeah, ask me how I know. All right, so at that point, your brake shoes are exposed, which is, at least on the outside, a pretty easy extraction. I'm not gonna bother going through the whole video of all of it on both sides, because like I said, this ain't rocket science. There's plenty of videos out there explaining how to do it. Here you can see these are pretty toasty. Here's what a new one looks like, and there's the old one. So I think that might explain why they were making a little bit of noise. And they're not metal on metal yet. Obviously, as you can see, there's still a little bit of pad material, so that's good. This is when you want to catch them. You don't ever want to let it get too far. The rotors, they do have a little, if you run your finger across it, you can feel there is some grooving there. Not a big deal. A shop will always tell you, oh yeah, you always need to resurface your rotors. You really don't. I've done tons of brake jobs and didn't resurface them. It's better if you do. It's not a safety concern if you don't. I'm going to work with these as they are. Here's the slide clips. You need to take these out. The kit came with brand new ones that are coated, and along with the coating that they've already put on, which is a nice smooth paint. You can see here, I'm also going to put a little bit of glide lube in there to make sure that they move smoothly in and out. Other thing to check for is these brake pins are supposed to be floating. Sometimes they're a little stiff. As you can see here, that one fought me a little bit until I worked on it. See, now it's nice and loose and glides easily. You want to be sure that those are moving well. Yeah, this one may need a little work. I may need to pull that one out and lube it. One on the other side was like that too. It didn't move super smoothly. Okay, that seems to be working good now. I think it may have just had a little bit of junk caught in it. You get some smooth slide action there. So you just want to rotate those around a little bit and make sure that there's no rough spots. And that's pretty much basically it. It is really pretty simple. When reinstalling your clips, make sure that the locking side is on the correct side. You should notice that when you take them out. On this particular Toyota model here, just pop those back in like that. This finger was on the inside on the old one, so you want to make sure that the finger is also on the inside on the new one, because yes, it is theoretically possible to install these backwards. Would it really make a a whole hill of beans one way or the other. Not really sure. I'm just following that because it's the best practice. I'm putting these back as they came out because I'm assuming that whatever Toyota engineer threw this together, he knew what he was doing. So I'm going along with it. So that's basically it. Like I said, it's pretty simple. You're going to take your pad after you've got your clips installed. Let me get this other one placed. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. After the clips are placed, yeah, that one. So that comes over here, goes in like that. And these do have a little bit of spring action. So, whoops. Yep. That tends to happen as well. You get that situated where it goes, and go ahead and snap that back in place. Usually takes a little bit of a drive with the screwdriver there, and it's all good. Some brake pads have an inner and an outer. These appear to be identical. I compared them with what was going on from before, and even though the direction had mentioned something about an inner and an outer, I find with this particular set of pads absolutely no difference in the part numbers or anything. One of them, the line drawing picture showed 2 grooves on the inner, a single groove on the outer, but these are all the same. So either they were mispackaged, or in this particular application that does not happen to be the case. This is a little squeaker finger. You put that guy, that just snaps right back on here like this. Fat part goes to the rear, little fingers pointing forward. If you look at the old pad, it's got one too. A little bit different. You can see the shape, right? I'm not sure if these are original Toyota pads. They might have been. Vehicle's got 60-something thousand now, 67, 68,000, something like that. The director tends to be a little tougher on brakes than I am.
Hey!
I like to start my braking a little earlier, and she tends to have a little bit more of a lead foot.
Hey!
Did I say that out loud? No, maybe I did. So put a little bit of slide lube here, and it's not too easy to see in the shadow here, but in the daylight this has got a really cool Emerald City thing going on here. It's actually green. So you just take like that and get your pad situated past the housing there, and past that outer lip. Move it into place. Push inwards a little bit to get past those clips, and bang, that's it. It's that simple. Now I got to repeat the whole procedure on the inner side and put the caliper back in place. Like I said, nothing really new here. There's plenty of people that have done videos how to change brakes. I don't think this procedure's probably really changed very much since the advent of disc brakes in the 1960s. So you know, we're talking 60 some years later. They pretty much build them the same way, and disc brakes are disc brakes. Like I said, this isn't rocket science. 2 pads and a caliper, it squeezes, vehicle stops. Pretty easy, pretty simple. So Saturday early afternoon project started earlier this morning. Still a little cool out here in Maryland. It was actually in the 40s this morning, so I wasn't in a super tearing ready rushing hurry to get out here and start tearing into things, because it really wasn't super working weather yet. I don't have a heated garage, so we're outside in the driveway. It is what it is. And last little tip, couldn't get the wheel off. This guy was not enough. Whoever put these on the last time really did a heck of a job. I was pulling both arms with this breaker bar. Thankful that I was using an impact socket and the side of the wall wouldn't blow out, and wondering how much pull was going to be required to get these loose before they finally started to squeak and finally pulled free. So that's another thing you want to watch when putting everything back together again. Don't forget, if you've got a flat on the side of the road, you're the schmuck that has to undo these. So be careful with your torques. Torque wrenches are your friend. These should only be between 95 and 105 foot-pounds if you're installing them dry. If you're using any kind of thread lube, you need to dial that down by about 15, maybe 20%. Most of your thread lubricators will publish that information because they have tested that in a lab, what the effect on a torque wrench is at that point. Obviously, this is not a torque wrench, of course, and I know that, you know that. But I'm going to pull mine out later and go ahead and retorque these. Follow those directions, because the last thing you want is to be on the side of the road at night and it's raining and you are unable to get your wheel off. That can be a very frustrating experience when you have a flat tire. So, safety first, torque first. Have a good time. Yes, changing brakes is not very much fun. Not what I would have picked to do Saturday morning, but you know what? It's one of those necessary maintenance type things that we're all going to run into sooner or later. Toyota, Nissan, regardless, whatever manufacturer, sooner or later you're going to see it. So, have a good time. FG out.